Ben Domenech, the editor-at-large over at The Spectator. Hi, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and good to be with you this morning. There's plenty to talk about, obviously. We've had a series of news-filled weeks here, and so you get to Friday, and it's like, how do you
fire hose
unpack everything?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just a fire hose.
What's the top of the docket for you right now?
Well, here's what I want to do, and here's where I want to lead you into. So earlier this week, in the backdrop of rockets, there's rocket sirens going off in southern Israel right now at the same time that Antony Blinken is in Jerusalem trying to say pause to the Israeli government. You've got skirmishes now in the West Bank, IDF raids going on in the West Bank, protests now happening. You have the Hezbollah leader announcing a press conference at 9 a.m. East Coast time today. Again, while we're trying to say pause, and Democrats all over the place are saying pause. Joe Biden, allegedly, according to Caitlin Collins of CNN, earlier this week, had a fundraiser in Minneapolis. And when a protester heckled him and saying that we need to have a ceasefire, Biden says, and I'm quoting Caitlin Collins here, and I think you put this up on Twitter as well, I'm the guy that convinced Bibi to call for a ceasefire to let the prisoners out. I'm the guy that talked to Sisi to convince him to open the door. Ben, that's nonsense.
It's absolute nonsense. Hey, look, this is a very interesting development for the Democratic Party, and I think that we should step back and appreciate kind of what's going on here a year out from the 2024 presidential election, and we are, officially now, on the clock. This is a development that I think throws the entire Biden approach into a real difficult situation, in part because Joe Biden has approached everything from the perspective of, I am the old hand. I am the man who has a firm grip on the wheel. You can't consider the possibility of restoring Republicans into the White House in any capacity because I'm the person who's going to approach foreign policy from a responsible direction. Of course, from any kind of assessment that whether it's from the right, from the left, or from independent, that's simply not the case. If you actually look at what has come out of this White House, and I think that's really proven through this whole Israel situation. And right now, he's caught in a very difficult situation from the perspective of the Democratic Party. You may have seen this AP report that came out, just a day ago about the concerns that are being expressed by Democrats in Michigan. The fact that he has lost so much ground among Arab American voters in that key state. There was an earlier poll from that Reuters reported on from an Arab American group that looked at the downfall of his support among Arab American voters by a significant margin from where he was back in 2020. And I think that that's something that is very much a concern for this White House and that he's very much aware of. That's why he's saying things like these nonsensical claims, and it's also why he's doing things that I think, frankly, are behind the scenes undermining Israel's attempts to deal with the situation in a way that is truly, a break with the past and not something that we want to see from any kind of attitude toward our greatest ally in the Middle East. And yet, it's very, very much consistent with I think, the tendencies of the Obama administration, ones that we are seeing only encouraged under this administration in ways that do not respect our allies or their ability to handle things for themselves the way that they see fit.
Talking to Ben Domenech of The Spectator and a Fox News contributor. Ben, the Washington Post today had a piece by Dylan Wells, or actually it was yesterday by Dylan Wells, about Dean Phillips' first town hall in New Hampshire. And if you read down the crowd that showed up to a Dean Phillips rally, Dean Phillips is the Democrat trying to primary Joe Biden through normal channels to, say Joe Biden's too old, he can't do this anymore, it's time to young it down. And so people that think that Joe Biden can't do this anymore are giving Dean Phillips a look. And the people that showed up at this rally, they started to say, well, ceasefire this, ceasefire that, and the Jews are the aggressors here. And he pushed back and he said, no, that's not true. And he had people literally yelling at him in this town hall saying that you're gaslighting people about what happened on 10/7. They are Holocaust denying in real time. Does anybody in D.C. quite understand how much the Democratic Party is imploding on?
Well, look, I don't think that they were prepared for this. And look, I want to be clear. I'm not blaming, obviously, American Jews who have given so much money toward left of center causes, and saying it's their fault or anything like that. But I do think that what they did do is, I think that they were naive, the degree to which they were funding causes and institutions and politicians who really were not their friends. There's obviously a general tendency. In many American Jews are liberal in tendency, and they tend to sort of fund more things that are on the left and on the right. That's fine. It's up to them for all sorts of domestic issues. But I think that what really happened here is they were funding a lot of institutions, particularly in higher education, that were teaching things that were absolutely heinous and basically giving it a pass. And when you see the kind of statements coming out of higher ed, out of Columbia University or Harvard or the like, places that are obviously, have enormous, funders who come from, the American Jewish community, that it's absolutely terrible to see the kind of things that are being said right now, encouraging the protests, encouraging the students who are saying things out of either naivete or actual anti-Semitism that are, frankly, as close as you can possibly get to Holocaust denial in the current vein. And that's something that's a huge problem. And I think that there are a lot of people who are waking up to it right now, including a lot of people who are basically saying they've been Democrat donors their entire lives, and now they're questioning whether that was something.
They got to be looking around going, this is not what I signed up for at all.
These people are not your friends. These people are not your friends. And, as much as you may not have anything in common with, the snake handler Christian fundamentalists of the Shenandoah, they're much bigger fans of Israel and of its right to exist.
Well, and we certainly gave
on higher ed campus.
We get the Republicans, certainly with the House Speaker nonsense, they gave a lot of fodder for mock and ridicule, but they're not getting people killed like what's going on here.
No, and they are resolute. They are resolute in standing with Israel's not just right to exist, but right to do what it believes necessary when it comes to its own security. And look, I think that what we're going to see coming in the next year really is going to be an election that depends a lot more on foreign policy than you might have expected. And frankly, I think that's one of the reasons that you're seeing donors in particular flock toward Nikki Haley. I don't think that she's the answer, for someone who's going to be an alternative on this front. But I do think that one of the things that it's an expression of is a recognition that Joe Biden has a real weakness on these issues,
and that the world matters. Yes,
and the world matters. The world matters. It's not just we are connected in ways that we were not before. And people understand the threats that are around us today.
Kamala Harris is in Great Britain and gave a press conference late yesterday afternoon. Audio and video circulated overnight, and I'm going to play you one clip here. She got a question from a member of the press asking her about the rising anti-Semitism all over college campuses, just exploding on college campuses. And here is the Vice President of the United States talking about the problem of anti-Semitism, cut 11.
Well, let me say I do understand their concerns. And I will never attempt to stifle or silence young people from expressing their concerns. That is part of what we do in a democracy, is allow that to occur. My position on the issue remains, as I've repeated now a couple of times, but it is important that we create environments for our young leaders to express themselves.
15 seconds, Ben. Let 1,000 anti-Semitic voices bloom.
Go back and talk about Venn diagrams in school buses, you idiot. This is come on.
She is a high-functioning moron.
from the mouth of babes. You don't have to tolerate anti-Semitism from anybody. I don't care how young they are.
Ben Domenech of The Spectator, thank you very much. I had the same reaction. It's just, shut up.